What's going on, folks? It's your boy again, back in the building. Dr. Sean Thomas here with episode 47 of the Be More Today show. We're back in the building, and it's still Black History Month, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Folks, we've been doing great this month. I'm bringing on some all-star guests, and today is no different. But as always, I want to just let you know that Be More Today is moving, and it's a movement, right? The Be More Today show is now heard in 32 countries. So thank you so much for your love and support. Please subscribe to the show. We love sharing our inspiration with you and our workouts with you on YouTube. The book is on our Be More Today page, BeMoreTodayBook.com. So please go out there and follow us. We're still putting out workouts every single week in conjunction with Spartan Sundays. So we're trying to keep y'all moving. That's been our whole goal for Be More Today. So just all we ask that you go on there, like our pages, subscribe to the YouTube page, and just continue to show us love as we continue to give you love on all major platforms. As always, folks, we're still doing this run, the Be More Today, the BMT for BLM run, February 21st. We're trying to raise $1,000 for the ASALH, Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And we've been putting out information about this virtual run that you can do basically anytime between the 1st and the 28th of this month. We're going to meet together on the 21st and gather for this race together. So that's our give back for Black History Month. And if you want to join us in any capacity, or you want to run virtually, please go on the site, donate, join us, and continue to keep moving as always. Our quotation for today is very, very simple, and it's by Booker T. Washington. And it says, "Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed." It's all about the process. And I talk about this in every single show, right? Everything is about the process. We as people of color, as we're a Black-owned business, have been through our own set of challenges. And, it's hard for us to look back and see all the things that we've been through. But we have to do those things to see where we're going. Obstacles make each of us stronger. And I don't know anyone who's been successful automatically without having some kind of obstacle in their way. And if they have been successful, it's usually because they were given that success. They didn't really earn it. And we've seen people be given success and not really have any ground to stand on when times get hard, when things really start moving, when the rubber really hits the road, right? They really can't function properly because they haven't been through that grit, that grind, to go through the process, to be ready for when things get hard. As people of color, we've been there. We've done that. We know how it is. So we can take anything because we've already been tried in the fire. And I don't know about you guys this week, but I just hope that you continue to push forward, continue to, as my guest is going to talk about, resist, redeem, reclaim, and renew your life. We have a great heritage, and I use this month to really look at our history and see where we come from and get excited about where we're going, the new administration. Just the future is bright for us as people of color, as people who have been tried in the fire for years on end. And I just look forward to a brighter day. I just recently watched a documentary on Sam Cooke and looking at his life and just seeing how amazing we as people of color have been and continue to be. We can do anything. There's nothing that we cannot do. So whenever you feel like obstacles are getting in your way, don't look at those things. Don't think about the things that you've been through, but just think about the times you're getting over those things to push forward towards success. That's my charge for you this week and this month as we continue to celebrate Black history. Recognize the legacy that you're a part of. It's a great legacy filled with so many people who have contributed to our history of America and even the world to make it a better place. And you're in that. You're a part of that. So be proud. Be proud. And for those of you who want to continue to celebrate Black history with us, we're going to have on more people for the show who will continue to embrace that legacy. And today, my guest is no different. Dr. Jaime Kowlessar is the embodiment of that legacy, empowerment, community. He's that guy. And there are 4 words, as I said before, Dr. Kowlessar lives by: resist, redeem, reclaim, and renew. And he uses his knowledge, experience, and passion to lead workshops and training sessions at various churches, schools, and businesses on how to develop and implement a sustainable ministry that speaks to the spiritual and social conditions in our world. Dr. Kowlessar has relentlessly pursued community activism and involvement, challenging the church to heed the call of Christ to be relevant and present in the lives of those in need. As a native New Yorker and a transplant to the South, Jaime Kowlessar has seen and experienced a range of injustices and believes it is the call of God's church to be his hands and feet in the earth to make the crooked paths straight. Being a voice for the communities he serves has compelled him to become a student of people and the scriptures. He has an undergraduate degree in theology from Atlanta Union College, a Masters of Divinity from Andrews University, and a Doctorate of Ministry degree from United Theological Seminary, and is currently working on his PhD in public policy and social change. Dr. Kowlessar serves as the senior pastor of Dallas City Temple, a congregation that gathers at the doorstep of injustice in the heart of Southern Dallas. As pastor, he leads in the effort to fight inequality by joining with community and local church leaders to implement strategies that improve the economic, educational, and spiritual conditions in the Cedar Crest community. He works with the Clergy Table for Faith in Texas, which leads and appoints a diverse band of clergy, Catholics, Muslims, Jews, and Christians, to fight against injustice. His thoughts can be read as an op-ed writer for the Dallas Morning News and a frequent contributor to books and publications on race, equality, and social justice. He's also the author of Just Us, or Just Us, Sermons and Reflections on the Life, Liberty, and Pursuit of Happiness, and How to Put the Neighbor Back in the Hood. Dr. Kowlessar has been married to the love of his life, Carlene, since 2008. Together they have two daughters, Caitlin and Amber. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my brother, my NYC friend, now in Dallas, Texas, Dr. Jaime Kowlessar. Dr. Jaime Kowlessar, what is going on?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm glad to be above ground and just living life, man. I'm cool.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're busy. I thought I was busy, but you, sir, are busy. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining me on the Be More Today Show, episode 47.
Wow.
And, you and I, we have an interesting relationship. I've seen you for years in various places. Back when you were in New York, you were here with us. Clearly, I saw you at various churches and camp meetings and what have you. You've seen us perform or me perform when I used to dance back in the day. Yep. And then I know you moved and, I've been following you in your journey and you've been doing a lot of great work down in Texas. So I just want to applaud you and I had to have you on the show. Black History Month. You're one of the people who I look to as someone who is putting in the work and really living behind what they talk about. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Man, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I remember we had like a brief meeting when it came to like Youth Federation. I remember meeting at the conference office and then seeing you at Kingsborough and various places. Yeah, man. It's good stuff to see where you are now, man. I'm following you too and enjoying all the stuff that you're doing.
I appreciate it. So let's get into it, Doc. I know you're busy, but I want to just do a little quick quarantine check-in like I do for everybody. I just want to know how you and your family are doing during this crazy year of 2020. And now that we're in 2021, how are you? How's the family? And how is life?
Man, the family is doing great. I always say my kids are doing better than me. They get 8 hours of sleep, 3 meals a day. They're healthy. My wife is healthy. So, and then also not just physically, but mentally, we're healthy and we're doing great. I love I hate the fact of what COVID is doing to people and to families, but I just love being able to be with my family and appreciate them and enjoy them. So yeah, we've been good. We've been good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Listen, your bio is insane. There's just so many things that are happening and you're a pastor, but you're just so much more than that. And I kind of want to talk about that, but I want to start off first talking about your hashtag on Instagram, the new Negro.
Yeah.
Why, what, who, where? Talk to me about the new Negro. Why is that your hashtag for social media?
So, man, all right. So I'm not the creator of that moniker, right? So I was taking this class called, I'm trying to remember the name of the class. I think it was called Pragmatism and Social Justice or something like that. But I know it had pragmatism in them. And I was introduced to this author named Alan Locke. And Alan Locke is a contemporary of Du Bois during the whole Harlem Renaissance. Apparently, he doesn't get as much popularity as the Du Bois, the Langston Hughes, all those others. But he was a great philosopher, and he coined this term, the new Negro, right? Like redefining what it means to be Black, what it means to be Black in America. And I just gravitated to that, like, yo, that's so dope. So that's why, like, I use that, that tagline or that title on my Instagram or whatever I do, because I do feel like every day I'm redefining what it means to be Black, or, and then, or just in my own definition of what Blackness is, not what the media or society has told us about ourselves. But yeah, this is it. So that's where I got it from. And I just gravitated to it.
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard it before, and I saw it on your page. I said, you know what? Yes, I remember. I've seen this in multiple areas. People posting this and coining this phrase. But I do think it is very poignant, especially during this time where we're redefining who we look like. What we look like, who we are as people of color, as men of color. Even you and I together. Two doctors on a chat. When people think about doctors, we're not the first people that come to mind in terms of color, in terms of status, those kind of things. So it is new. It is new. And I think it defines who we as a people are going to be in the future. And I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing on so many levels.
Yeah.
And I know you also have that, man. I've been doing a lot of research on you and looking at your websites and all the work you've been doing in the community. This tagline, resist, redeem, reclaim, and renew. Right, which is powerful on so many levels. And I know it could probably be a sermon by itself, but what is this theme that you embody right now with the 4 R's? Resist.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. So with those 4 R's, and I'll just unpack them: resist, right? And I get that from just my biblical training and my community training too. To resist the empire, I would say, but to resist the passions or the allure that this world has to offer, right? And as believers in God, God is countercultural to our society, so we have to resist the temptation. That's the word, the temptation to be like the world, right? So we resist, and as we resist that temptation, we're called to redeem others. Like, we're called to bring people out of whatever pit they may be, and whatever dark hole they may be, and whatever situation they may be. And so as we redeem them from that, we reclaim them. To all our lost brothers and sisters who have been victimized by, society, by bad public policy, just by sin and deprivation, we reclaim them. We let them know we love them, and that we are with them on this journey. And then after that, we renew them, right? We renew them so that they become new people, better people, and not just renewing them so that they become better selfish people. We renew them in a sense where they become better people to help others as well. So they repeat the cycle, right? So after we redeem, we reclaim, and resist, redeem, reclaim, and renew, we want them to go and do that for others as well, so that the cycle continues and that we don't become selfish people. So yeah, I've just been living by those 4 R's, and I'm trying to make that a part of my nonprofit as well, and to continue doing that work.
That's great. Talk to me about your nonprofit, exactly, so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I started a nonprofit last year called Raise Your Voice. Still trying to get it up and moving in the way I would like to, but the basis of the nonprofit is using art to reclaim our narratives, right? And so whether encouraging young people, whether it's to do poetry, rap, sing, dance, cook, whatever forms of art that they use, and use that to tell their stories. I think, the thing about art is so interesting that everybody is born an artist, right? From the moment you come out from a child, you are an artist. But as you get older, the trouble is staying one, because most people will talk you out of doing art. And it's interesting, right? They'll say, don't do art, but then we'll go on Instagram, or we'll go watch TV or watch sports, which is all art, the way things are done. So I don't want art to die. I want art to live, and I want art to be used to inspire others. So yeah, that's the basis of it, trying to get young people and get into schools and develop social justice curriculums using art and poetry and whatever it is that you feel best that you can do.
I love it. And now, is that just based in Texas or?
Yeah, it's based in Texas right now, but I want to expand it to bring it to New York, to travel, even to go overseas, and just use it there. As you, I know if you follow me, I'm a big hip hop head. Like hip hop is just my thing. So yeah, so I want to continue to do that.
Yeah. I think that's great because I agree with you. Even my daughter, she's 5, soon to be 6, and literally all she does all day is art, right? She comes home with different artwork every day, painting, drawings. And I remember doing that kind of stuff. But at some point in time in our development, or whether it's the school system or what have you, that gets pushed to the wayside. And
Yeah,
more attention is based on, sciences and the maths and the reading as opposed to the art class, which literally probably is seen as one of the lower classes in our curriculum when we get into like high school and college and whatnot,
yeah,
even into the credits. So it's,
yeah.
it's it's funny how you use and how we use art now therapeutically, to bring people together. I know I've used it in my own experiences to really express personal opinions and personal anguish, not so much dealing with church stuff, but more just like dealing with race and what it's like being a Black man in America, and not
Mhm.
really knowing how to put that in terms where I'm not going to be seen as an angry Black person or a Black man, but using the arts in terms of African dance and whatever else to really express my feelings and connect with my cultures. So I'm all about that. I do
Yeah,
think that gets lost. And even when
yeah.
you start to cut curriculums, they start to cut those things based on funding. Those things are really the things that are cut first. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing, especially in Texas.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, man. It's the first department that gets cut, and it's so interesting because even like even the laptop we use, if you use an Apple or whatever, Chrome, Samsung, it's art, right? It's somebody designed that. But it's so crazy that struggling is always synonymous with art, right? You become a struggling artist,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
But I really want to change that narrative. And one of the things, and I forgot to mention this, that helped me discover that was the Black arts movement. That during the civil rights, the story of freedom and equality, it was helped pushed through the Black arts movement, through theater and through singing. And some great, Nina Simone came out of the Black arts movement, County Cullen, and all these wonderful jazz artists and all these wonderful things came out of that. So I want to see that continue, that legacy continue to live.
Yeah. I just watched a documentary on Sam Cooke actually this morning, believe it or not.
Yes.
And it's crazy just thinking about how revolutionary we as people of color have been when it comes to the arts. I mean,
Mhm.
literally, so much has come, even like you said, arts in terms of what we do on a computer. I was looking at this documentary with Sam Cooke and Muhammad Ali, and how together they were friends and they hit the spectrum from both levels, right? He was hitting
Yeah.
it from the sports level in terms of artistic movement. Sam was hitting from the musical aspects, and together they just had a whole bunch of people who literally pushed this civil rights movement and the movement towards redefining, right, Black people, the new Negro, right? That's kind of how our party started, using
Yeah.
that same concept to say, we're more than just people who can on a plantation. We're smart, we're funny, we can sing, we can do all these different things respectfully and eloquently. And his whole life, I mean, just he was shot, and it was a mishap shooting, but his whole life was just he was basically like the modern day Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
He was like the before Quincy Jones was. We had Sam Cooke, so just looking at how we've become as a people, using art, I think is an amazing way to progress change and to push change. So keep doing what
Ab-
you're doing. I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, do you incorporate any of that with your church? I know you're the pastor for Dallas Temple. And in our churches, as you know, sometimes artistic things are not always well received. And I say that personally because growing up, depending on what denomination you're from, some churches are very, very open to using the arts to do certain things, and some are very fearful for whatever reason of incorporating artistic anything, art movements, sounds, etc., anything that relates to either African history roots or otherwise into the church realm. What's your experience now working at Dallas Temple or working just in Dallas period? And are you incorporating any of these artistic movements and outreaches to your congregation down there?
Yeah, great question. So I would say recently I have. In the 8 years that I've been there, no. But maybe I have. And now you're forcing me to identify it. But I would say this, that I'm always including lyrics in all of my sermons, right? And bridging the gap to showing how, hey, look how this song speaks to what's going on, right? Matter of fact, what's going on? Marvin Gaye, right? I just preached a sermon called What's Going On. I had another one called Makes Me Want to Holler. It's interesting how the members of the church gravitate to that, seeing how I can bridge both worlds. In the recent years, I'd say last year, I was able to do a program called Church in the Wild, and kind of use a subtitle of Praise and Protest, where we gathered, myself and another gentleman named Edwin Robinson helped me put this together. We gathered some local artists together, and we allowed them to use songs that they've written and poetry that they've done to in a rally in front of City Hall to talk about some of the demands that they want to see manifested through City Council, right? So that's defund the police and things like that. So yes, I have shut down Sabbath service. Even though we were in a pandemic, we didn't do our usual streaming, and we told everybody to come out downtown to City Hall, and we're going to make our faith visible, right? Not just be inside of our houses, but we'll come out, mask up. And it was beautiful to see so many people who were enjoying listening to the art. And then we were still able to communicate why we're here and what the bigger picture is. I want to continue to start to do more things like that and to incorporate more of it. But yeah, that was like the first program that I've hosted with Raise Your Voice and using art and artists. And another thing too, why I was glad to do that was that the artists all did not come from the congregation. They were from the community, some from the church and some from the community. And it was a great marriage.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I love the combination of community and church together. And I love seeing art. I've done for Black History Month for the last 8 or so years, I've always put on a program, and it always had some kind of issue with someone at church about it, right? Because I would bring in some Nina Simone song for a play we were doing, or a Fela Kuti song, or all these different people who were part of our history, part of our culture, but not the songs you would think about when you think about a church Black History Month program. But the program was always a hit because it really looked at our history, and it just linked the things that we don't really talk about in the community to what we're actually probably experiencing in our churches. And I just think it's funny how we don't really get a chance to surely and truly see the connections between our past and our present until things like Black History Month come up. And I just hope we can do more of those things moving forward,
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of my pet peeves about the church. In our church, we share the same denomination, is how instrumental they have been in divorcing us from our history. And not only divorcing us from it, is that whenever someone like you brings dance or art into the church, we're the first ones to reject it and deny it, and then, but if you were to play a Beethoven classical piece, or or something that's not akin to Black people, it's almost sometimes weird welcomed, right? And then applauded, like, oh, that's wonderful. And those are some things that I've raised my voice about how quick we are to reject our own humanity to accept somebody else's humanity. And it saddens me that's usually the case. But, my encouragement to you is keep on doing it. Bring the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater up in the front of the church, and if they don't want it, then bring it to the streets, because I've noticed that the streets have been more receptive to culture and to us than, unfortunately, the church has been.
I appreciate those words. Very much so. Thank you so much. Talk to me a little bit about this Clergy Table of Faith. What is this group about, and how do they function? You're in Texas, so I'm very curious how this group functions together, and how it's going to be functioning now in its new administration. compared to?
Yeah. So it's great. I'm part of two organizations, right, that belong to clergy. And interestingly enough, I'm the only Adventist at both of these organizations. So the clergy table that you refer to is I guess an umbrella underneath Faith in Texas, which belongs to a larger nonprofit organization called Faith in Action. So Faith in Texas, and they have Faith in New York, Faith in LA, they're all over the states. Faith in Texas, their push is for policy change, and they see that the only way that we can encourage policy change, or one of the ways to do it, is to galvanize churches and pastors to get involved in the work. So I was the chair of it at one time, and then I sat on the committee that helps get churches and pastors involved in doing advocacy work through Faith in Texas. Now, there's another organization that I belong to. It's called the Dallas Black Clergy, in which I'm the only Adventist on that one as well. And that one pretty much does the same thing, but we focus only on Black clergy. Faith in Texas is multi-ethnic, multi-race, Black, white, and also multi-faith, rabbis, anybody under the that believes in the Abrahamic tradition. And so the Dallas Black Clergy and Clergy Texas, we just sit down together and we work on what are strategic moves that we need to do in order to push the social justice agenda in Dallas. So some of the things that we worked on was earned paid sick leave. If you called in sick, Dallas employers just didn't pay you, and we said that that's unjust. So we were able to get that passed. We were able to get the Citizens Police Review Board funding for that passed. And we're working on affordable housing at the moment. So yeah, that's some of the work that I do outside of the church, that I find fulfillment and enjoyment just being able to put my faith into practice and to help people that necessarily will never come to my church. But as long as I know that they can live life more abundantly, I'm Gucci.
That's why I love you, Jamie. And when I first met you, we connected on various levels, but I always had a sense that you were someone who lived what you said. And it wasn't just like lip service. It wasn't just you, just putting on a show. Like you really lived what you said. And it was genuine. There's some people, and it's not just about pastors in general, but it's about anyone who's in any profession, right? Doctor, lawyer, teacher, what have you. You can kind of see through people sometimes. And everything that you talk about, you do. Everything that you preach about, I see you putting that into your community work down there, your family work. I mean, I've seen you and your wife have their own little podcast thing going on. You're connecting with your spouse on that level as well. So you're just hitting on so many levels. And I'm just really impressed by that. In addition to that, I know you have 2 books that you wrote, and I wanted you just to share with the viewers what these 2 books are about.
Yeah, so thank you. I wrote Don't Leave the Neighbor Out of the Hood. So it's kind of like putting the word neighbor back in the hood. And that's my dissertation, my Doctorate of Ministry. And that book is basically a manual that I've done at City Temple, and that I would like to share with other pastors. And so I walk individuals through why we don't have social justice ministries, why we need social justice ministries, and how to do a social justice ministry. So I go through I use 2 biblical examples. One, Nehemiah, for those churches that most of us go to where we commute into the neighborhood and we actually are not living there. And I show how Nehemiah did not live in Jerusalem where the walls were destroyed, but yet still he felt like he had to go do a work there to rebuild it. And then the other example is Jesus, who was from the hood, Nazareth, and the Bible says that he goes into the temple. So he's somebody who lives there, but still does constructive work in his opening message to, set the captives free and to restore sight to the blind, social justice work. So I use those 2 examples to prove my thesis, and that this is why we need it. This is how we do it. and this is why you should do it. So that's the first book. The other book is more of a devotional. It's called Justice or Just Us. And those are just various sermons that I preached on social justice issues. It has discussion questions at the end of each chapter and a prayer at the end of a discussion questions and a prayer at the end of each chapter. So you can use it in a small group setting. You can use it as a devotional, however you want to use it. And so I just put those two out, but I am working on something else, something bigger, as I'm doing my PhD right now. And I'm hoping maybe within the next 5 years that I can present that to the world, and then it can be a contribution.
That's great. I'm a new author myself, but you have
Great.
2.5 books coming out, so I'm really impressed with that. And I think that the social justice piece is powerful, clearly, because our churches in general, most churches in general, before the Black Lives Matter movement, and even you talking about before that, have been involved in it, but haven't really been committed to the movement. And I know you've done a number of things with various groups, Adventists for Social Justice and other groups related to that. Last question before the break: why do you think it's so hard for churches in general, right? And I say churches in general because we're just talking about that context right now. But you just gave 2 examples, Nehemiah and Jesus, and how they were people who were from certain situations, but were reaching out to everyone, trying to unify. Why is it so hard for Christians or us as people, believers, etc., to want to be involved in social justice? Why is it so hard for us to have the conversation in our churches, and churches that are supposed to be, again, founded on the premise of love and giving and being a shelter for those who need sheltering, for the homeless, and all these different things that we talk about every single day and preach about and read about and have our devotionals about. But when it comes to practice, the numbers are few and the fight or the resistance is heavy. Why is that, do you think, when it comes to most churches in general?
Yeah, great questions. Because I think that, in my studies and in my book, the subtitle is The Miseducation of the Seventh-day Adventists. And I'm glad you said churches, right? And we're not just talking about the Adventist church. Other denominations have the same problem too. I think it goes back to just having a Eurocentric theology of who God is and what God cares about. That one of the things that I've discovered is that we tend to separate our theology from our humanity. And what I mean by that is, or even Jesus, right? We separate what Jesus came to do from his actual sociology or his anthropology, in the sense that we don't look at the fact that he was homeless. We don't look at the fact that he was poor. We don't look at the fact that he lived under Roman oppression. And a lot of things that he did was counter to that oppression, healing people on the Sabbath. And they said, even Pharisaic oppression, right? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar, the taxes that they had to pay. And I think what we have been taught as Black Adventists, as Black believers, is that we need to focus more on getting to heaven than actually doing the work down here so that people can live life abundantly. So, for example, we'll see gentrification, and we'll just say, oh, these things are supposed to happen because this is what the Bible says. Let's just wait till we get to heaven. God's going to fix everything. We'll see homeless population increasing. And we need to know and understand that that's not what Jesus taught or what God teaches in the scripture. He's very explicit about, workplace exploitation. He's very explicit about, seeking the rights of the poor, defending the fatherless, defending the orphans, defending the widows. God is very explicit about justice. And I'll close on this statement, because I was sharing this yesterday, that when we read Matthew 24, we always read about, when the disciples say, how will we know when the end will come? And Jesus starts off by saying famines and pestilences and wars and rumors of wars and things like that. And then we don't read further down. He says, naked and you did not clothe me, hungry you didn't feed me, I was sick and you didn't. And it's interesting that we don't include that in our last day events message, right? We just look at the wars and the rumors of wars. And you and I know that if we're ever doing public speaking or we're preaching, that we always save our most important point as the last point. And Jesus' last point was, you didn't do this for the least of these. You didn't do it to me. And then he says, depart from me, I know thee not. In other words, there's a lake of fire for you. So regardless of all the wars and rumors of wars and all that stuff that we hear and that we think about, Jesus' most important point was, you need to be doing service to those that are marginalized. And it boggles me that in our fundamental beliefs, that there is no fundamental belief about justice. There's no fundamental belief about equality or equity, but it's all about do's and don'ts. I mean, don'ts, but not about the doing the work of social justice. So I think it's our warped theology that we got from Eurocentrism.
That's powerful. And, I just wanted to add, my wife's a criminal defense attorney. And whenever we talk, when I first met her, she was so curious that so many people that she met in the church were prosecutorial in their mindset, right? They were very much like, well, this person did that, they're a criminal. They're this, they're that, they're bad, they're this, bad people. And just the verbiage that they used was all just prosecutorial in nature. And she said, wow, it's so interesting that a group of people who believe in this concept of Christ, this person who did all these things, was a forgiver of all these sins, was the one who brought people together and was so forgiving, the one that we're supposed to be like as well. But when it comes to looking at someone who does something wrong, or someone who gets arrested for something, or someone who's prosecuted for something, our initial response is, they're bad, they're criminal, those people. And even her criminal defense work, people always questioned her and said, how could you defend someone who does this and does that? And she responded, well, I'm new to this Christian thing, but isn't that what Jesus did? Isn't that what Christ did? Isn't that the whole point of Christianity? So it's just funny how we use those same things when we want to use them for our benefit, but not when we don't want to hear it when it comes to things that we think are a threat to us.
Yeah, great point. And let's not deny the fact that, at the trial of Jesus Christ, a lot of us would have been on the side that says crucify him, because that's how we think. He's a criminal. He's a bad person. We would not like Jesus very much. And well, number one, he wouldn't come to our churches. I believe that. And you look at the Bible, every time he went to the church, they try to kill him. And I think that he would come in with such a counter-revolutionary message. We would be like, nah, this brother got to go. He needs to leave. He's just messing things up. And you see where Jesus hung out. He spent most of his time outside of the temple than inside. Yep. And we need to analyze that. We need to focus on that. And we need to really think about, how do we think about what are the false narratives we bought into about the poor, about those that are marginalized? And, a lot of things that we've been taught is that they want to be poor, or they committed crime because they're just bad people. Well, sometimes you can't judge a person's choices if you don't look at their options.
Right.
And a person's options will push them to do certain things just for survival.
Right. Very true. Very true. If you're just joining us, folks, episode 47, I'm here with Dr. Jaime Kowlessar, Senior Pastor of Dallas City Temple, author of 2 books, runner of the nonprofit Raise Your Voice, and he is repping New York, but also Dallas right now. And Jaime, I got some quick fire questions for you before I let you go. I know you're married, I know you're a father of 2, and you live in Texas, which is not New York at all, but it's home. How do you feel about the new administration? And what do you tell your daughters, as a father of 2 daughters, about what they're seeing or what you're seeing happening in America right now?
Yeah, so I feel good. I feel great about the new administration. I'm not putting all my hope in it. I still think that the fight is in the streets on the local level. But, just to say that I told my daughters this, that on election day, when Biden won, I said that evil never prevails, that you can't say bad things about people. You can't treat people unfairly and expect to win and expect to always stay on the top. That righteousness and justice and love and mercy always prevails. And that the way you treat people will determine and dictate how far you will go in life. So that was a great life lesson for my daughters that I was able to explain to them.
Yeah, I did the same for my daughter. I mean, my daughter's only if I'm going to be sick soon. But when Joe Biden won, she said, Daddy, the good guy won. I said,
Yeah.
yes, you're right. The good guy did win. Joe
That's
Biden
right.
fans. And, I'm proud because, Kamala is,
Oh
half
yeah.
American, half South Asian, just like my daughter is. So it's big for me and for her to see someone who looks like her on TV, because all she talks about, even at a young age, is, Daddy, your skin color is darker than mine, and Mommy's skin color is different than yours. And I'm like, yes, you're right, but it's all beautiful. It's all
Yeah.
beautiful. So for
Yeah.
her to
And I'm
see
so
that,
yeah.
it just makes you really feel good inside.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought Kamala. Now, please forgive me for not bringing her up. But my daughter, my oldest one, she just started doing so much research on Kamala. She's so like enthralled by her. She's like typing in like where's she from and all. So that was just empowering in itself to just to see on her own that she wants to know more about our first Black vice president of the United States. So absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's big time. It's big time. If you could change the world, sir, in one way to make it a better place, what's one thing that you would do?
I would hope that I can eradicate poverty. And, that's a big, big feat, but I think that it can be done. If I were to, if, and how I would do that is by reaching one person. And, you know, I think like I would work towards telling people not to be so transactional in developing relationships, right? Like we build relationships so that we can help people, not so that we can extract or take something from them. So by each one reaching one and teaching that, and hopefully we can see a better society.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So, Jamie, as you know, Be More Today is my thing. It's my brand. It's our book. It's what we're trying to do for this year. And I've been asking everybody on the show what they think the phrase Be More Today means to them. You are number 47 on that list. So, Dr. Kowlessar, when you hear the phrase Be More Today, what does the phrase Be More Today mean to you?
Yeah, Be More Today, man. Thank you for that. That's so inspiring. I think for me, when I hear that phrase, Be More Today, it simply means, how do I improve on who I was yesterday? How do I push the envelope to encourage others that they can be more? Like I believe my purpose in life, and I believe everybody's purpose in life, is to inspire others to be better, to be more. And so when I think about that, I think about how do I build on what I've already done, and how do I bring others to the top with me, or bring others to the table with me. And so that just encourages me to be more, be better, be wiser, be stronger, and not for myself, but how I can use my privileges to help those that are not as privileged.
Mm, mm. What's one thing you want to start doing in this new year, 2021?
I want to start dedicating my complete life to advocacy and to working with the least of these, to working with the marginalized and the poor, and to helping them see life the way that it should be for them. And yeah, that's my prayer. That's my dream. And even if that means stepping out of pastoral ministry and putting all my energy and my work into my nonprofit and working towards social justice, that's just where I feel the most fulfilled, and I feel the way that I can contribute most to society, but also reflect the life of Jesus Christ. That's my desire for this new year.
Dr. Kowlessar, any final tips you want to share about Black History Month, social justice, raise your voice, your 2 books, anything you want to share with listeners now as we close?
Yeah, I just want anybody who's listening, I hope that this interview was inspiring to you. I want you to find your passion, whatever breaks your heart, and go forward and just dive into it and reach others and continue to be the light in darkness. People are waiting for you. They're waiting for your voice. They're waiting to hear you. If you want to support and help me with what I'm doing with Raise Your Voice, please contact me. You can get my information from Sean, or you can go to my website, and you can see it there and you can pull it up. But, we accept the tax-free donations and suggestions. I think that's also valuable as well. And I just want to see us continue to keep thriving and surviving and reaching to the top. Keep wearing your mask and stay safe, socially distanced. And we'll get through this pandemic, but we got to do it together, all on one accord, and just continue to be you. And as the show, be more.
Well said. Folks, where can they follow you? Where can they follow you on social media or otherwise?
Yeah, so definitely you can find me on Instagram at Jaime_Kowlessar. So that's JAIME_KOWLESSAR. My website is raiseyourvoice.academy. The church I pastor is DallasCityTemple.org. You can find us on Facebook. And and you can find me on Facebook too. So those are usually the avenues that you can get through to me. And you can find me. If you look hard enough, you don't have to look hard. You'll find me. I'm somewhere.
Dr. Kowlessar, thank you so much for joining us today. Episode 47 is in the books, and I appreciate you and all your time today. Thank you so much for joining me for this show.
Thank you for having me. You got a great thing going on. Keep it up.
I appreciate that, sir. And just in closing, I want to remind everybody about our quotation from today. The beginning quote is from Booker T. Washington, saying, "Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed." Listen, we have to get through our obstacles together. So keep pushing, like Jaime said, and let's continue to help each other to move forward. All right. That's going to be our charge for this month, Black History Month. And as always, folks, continue to follow us to Be More Today. Our website is up as always. And for our book, our music, our podcast information, if you want to send us information or questions about the show, BeMoreToday@gmail.com. That's BeMore2day@gmail.com. You can always check out the Words for Life podcast every single Wednesday, as always. Folks, happy Black History Month. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great life. And continue. Take your steps to greatness to be the best version of you. Jaime and I both say, peace.